Welcome to the Taco Bell Tasty Temple Challenge. Released in the year of 2000 as a promotional item that came along with certain meals in the restaurant, Tasty Temple Challenge makes you wonder why on earth you like video games. What's interesting with this is that it released for MS-DOS in the year 2000, and you can see it is a fully 3D experience. We don't use weapons in this to take down enemies, we actually use satchels of sauce. We can jump, we can crawl, so Duke Nukem 3D, eat your heart out. We can even swim, yes, we can swim, and luckily there's no underwater combat. This game is going up and up in my estimations, but not for much longer. As we try to make our way around, you'll notice that things are very clunky here. Most of the enemies here are these scorpions and some cobras that we'll be seeing as we make our way around the temple. Various pickups here include items off the Taco Bell menu, because of course, why would it not? As we make our way to the doors, they actually open automatically. Now, do note, you can't shoot through items to hit enemies behind. You actually have to make sure you're lined up perfectly to take out your lovely enemies. Look at the detail on those cobras there. That's just amazing. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, so this doesn't look awful. Well, like I said, this was released in the year 2000. It came on a floppy disk with some meals in the Taco Bell restaurant during that time. It even came with its own little manual. I'm going to read you the description of it because the description deserves its own slice of attention. Badger Bill is one hungry dude. He's part of an exploration team that's discovered the ruins of an ancient jungle civilization. Tired and hungry from a day of hacking through the jungle, Badger Bill climbs into his sleeping bag near the giant stone steps that lead up to the main temple in the ruin. In his dreams, the temple turns into a bonanza of Taco Bell food delights. He races from room to room through the temple, gobbling up as much food as he can. Tacos, nachos, gorditas, Mexican pizza, and chalupas. But there's a catch. Hiding in the nooks and crannies of the temple are poisonous jungle cobras. Just when you least expect it, they jump out and take a bite. Cover them with hot sauce and they're goners, but if you don't move quickly, they'll give you a nasty bite. Get bitten enough times and you'll wake up from your dream before you reach the grande meal. The grande meal, TM, hot and delicious. It sits there on the top level of the ruins waiting for you. Will you get there before you wake up from your dream? Play Tasty Temple Challenge and find out. I feel like that was more of a sales pitch than anything else. So the main aim of this game is pretty simple. Walk around the temple, find the various keys and items that you need to progress, and that's pretty much it. There's really not that much else to say about the actual gameplay. You'll sometimes find some lifts that you can go up and down in, and there is a toxic pit of such that will absolutely destroy your health. We'll be seeing that a bit later on. But yeah, basically you'll be exploring this temple, trying to find your way forward. Which brings me to the discussion of the temple itself. This temple is a nightmare to navigate. It is a meandering chaos ball that it has corridors that go absolutely everywhere. Areas like this, which are basically impassable if you kill an enemy in the wrong spot. You basically have to crouch down and try and get through the body. The enemies will just relentlessly pursue you if they catch sight of you. And to be honest, as you can hear, there isn't that much going on in the sound department either. They couldn't even be bothered to fetch out some money for the soundtrack here. So we are basically just here in the ambience of this temple. Even the enemies only make very slight noises as they're moving around, so you do have to keep your eyes open. Now, I have to say, even though this doesn't look very Doom-esque at times, I feel that the face at the top that's kind of acting as the avatar which the player can watch, it's very Doom-like in my opinion. It does very much kind of give me that vibe. Unfortunately, not much else about this does. If this had been released in 1992, 1993, 1994, I might be a bit more forgiving of it, but this came out in the year 2000. Now think about that. That came out after the likes of Quake, Half-Life. Yes, this game released onto MS-DOS, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. It is quite the spectacular specimen, but of course it was designed for children, which Again, the level design doesn't really feel like that because the level design is so chaotic, it meanders, and you end up double backing on yourself so much in this experience. I do kind of have to wonder if this was designed with children in mind, or if this was just like thrown in because someone did this on the day off and people were like, oh, that'll be a nice little bonus extra. You can see here there are plenty of rooms for us to duck and dive into. Unfortunately, the experience is not that smooth. I'm obviously running this through DOSBox, and I have to say, it doesn't run the best. Even with my attempts to try and optimize it, it does not. Oh, that's very lovely. Taco Bell endorsed pile of skeleton bones there, eh? But as we make our way around, we'll find these keys like this. And that's pretty much the aim of the game here. Unfortunately, like the variety on offer in this one isn't that great. And to be honest, Chex Quest does this kind of thing a lot better. And years earlier, might I add, as well. All you really have for sound here is the static in the background, which obviously, if you're into the kind of games like Duke Nukem and Doom and Quake, it's not really going to cut it for you. I think we need to get a new item for that. Oh, excuse me. At this point then, you're probably wondering what kind of controls do we have on offer here? Well, you're using the directional controls to move around. You use the home button to jump, the end button to crawl, and the F1 keys will do some saving for you, and they'll also show you the map if you press tab. So as you can see here, the bodies, when they drop, they actually serve as a block. They stop you from sort of being able to get past easily. They are very frustrating, and if they fall in the wrong spot, you really do have a bit of a problem on your hands. This is like the worst Tomb Raider experience you can imagine. It really does feel like a weird mix of Wolfenstein / Doom / Tomb Raider, and I don't mean that in any good way. I say Doom and Wolfenstein because it feels a bit more advanced than Wolfenstein, but at the same time, Wolfenstein's more fun to play than this, by leaps and bounds, might I add. Okay, we got a bit of a problem here because that body is actually blocking us from hitting the switch to bring the lift back down. And there's no other way out of this area. So if I crouch down here, there we go. I can push through the corpse, but now it's actually behind us, so it's actually blocking us from getting out of this room. Like I said, there are a lot of weird oddity bits and pieces with this game. It runs on a game studio engine, and it's not the best. This was used for several other games as well, all of them very janky like this. Like, this really does make you appreciate what Wolfenstein and Doom really brought to the table in 92 and 93. I do appreciate the attempt to create some atmosphere with the use of dark shades and shadows. Unfortunately, it's kind of undercut by the fact that everything just feels so janky, even just sort of walking around. The levels just don't feel super comfortable to explore. And the way that you kind of jut up and down, it makes it obviously feels realistic because they're trying to create the sensation that you're walking around these spaces. Unfortunately, it also kind of makes things a bit uncomfortable because it always kind of feels like you're never truly settled in your perspective. It's a really weird experience. It kind of feels like you're playing through a 3D Windows wallpaper from back in the day. It's also very easy to get lost. Obviously, we have the map that I can call on if I really need to, but it's very easy in this game to double back on yourself, find yourself heading in the wrong direction, and come to the realization that maybe you've gone the wrong way, and it because a lot of the rooms just look the same as each other, it can all get very, very samey very, very quickly. So the good news here is that we are actually on the other side of where we were earlier. You remember where that cobra was blocking our way? This is actually the other side of that room. So luckily, I'll be able to show you the complete loop of this section. Oh, hello. As we make our way through here. Ooh, nice little cache of ammo and health here. Just look at that flame. To be fair, Duke Nukem 3D didn't have much better. They used flames similar to that, so I can't really call out that too much. But you can see here, this is the other side of that area where we were earlier on. Wow, they're so annoying. I don't understand why the bodies don't just sort of become passable when you walk through them. I don't understand why they serve as blocks, because even in combat, if you try to shoot something that's on the other side of that, it's just not going to work out for you. Let's wander down this way here. I do like some of the textures here. They've obviously put a bit of effort into creating an aesthetic that is familiar to what the game is trying to achieve. You do feel like you're in a big temple here. Unfortunately, again, I don't think all of it works as well as the game really wants it to. Right, so I think because we got the machete, we can head in here. Yes, we can. Okay, so we hit this switch. And this is something else that the game likes to do. Sometimes you'll hit switches and you have no earthly idea what the switch did. It is very much a case of you do something and something happens across the level. It takes the absolute worst level design choices from 1990s first person shooters and it crams them all into this game. But for free experience, it's quite hard to complain too much about this, I guess. Like I said, it's very curious to me that in the year 2000, Taco Bell, of all places, decided to release a MS-DOS game because obviously by this point, MS-DOS was really niche. It was really phased out by Windows, and I struggle to understand quite why they didn't just release this as a Windows game. It doesn't really make sense to me in that regard, but obviously there must have been a reason for it. And the funny thing is, when I was doing research for this game, I did find people who were very nostalgic about this. Apparently, people played this for hours as kids. They lapped this up. So I guess, good for them. Maybe because I was spoiled on Doom, Heretic, Duke Nukem, and all those games, playing this kind of experience really wouldn't have done anything for me as a kid. I would have felt it was a bit too bare bones for me and a bit too archaic, even by 2000. But I guess if you've never played any of those first-person shooters, this isn't a terrible, terrible experience. It's just a slightly terrible experience. As you can see here, you do have to do a lot of exploration. It's not simply a case of the game will give you an arrow or there'll be like a gold path on the floor leading you forward. Unfortunately, you are kind of expected to do a lot of the heavy lifting yourself. So if we wander up here, we need to get inside that door there. Oh, hello. I hope you're appreciating the very, very low quality sound effects of this game. But overall, I do think this is, for what it is, it's fine. It was a free game given out. It's not like you had to pay for this experience. I'm very curious. If we jump into that green slime, what happens? Oh, well, we just die. We just die. That seems to be the answer to that. Oh no. I found this to be a very fun and novel experience. Obviously, this is a free game given out in Taco Bell of all places, so you're not really expecting anything to match the likes of GoldenEye, the likes of Half-Life, the likes of games from around the year 2000. But for something that you can stick on your PC, tell kids to go play it for a few hours, I guess it fits the bill. It is pretty basic across the board. And by the year 2000, it does feel a bit antiquated. Games like Duke Nukem really implemented the swimming and the crawling a lot better and a lot earlier than this. So if you're going to go out of your way to experience this, you can actually experience it online. Some websites actually host this online, so you don't even need to download it. You can just play it for a few minutes and get a flavor for what Taco Bell was trying to sell you. As a novelty, it's great, but as an actual gaming experience, it's a big fat no from me, unfortunately. But let me know, did you ever play this when you were a kid? Have you ever experienced this one in the past? And would you love to see a HD remaster of this? I think if we pool our resources together, we can convince Taco Bell to put the resources in to get us a modern remaster of this from Night Dive. What do you all think?